Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Uh, a special welcome to Mark, who has joined us for the first time. Mark, welcome. And welcome back to Galen. Galen, great to see you on the screen. Seve, nice to have you again. Uh, really nice turnout today. Thank you very much in support of Shleigh, who's going to be talking shortly. I want to mention just a few things to set the context for Shleigh's talk. Shleigh Pasini has been a member of Prajna Heart Zen Center for about a year now, I believe. Yeah. I'm going to try to mute people so we don't have background noise. Okay, there we go. About a year. And one of the beautiful things about Shleigh is that whether you're her friend or you see her on the street or a fellow Sangha member, she's always all in. You know, she's always like in. And I don't know, from my point of view, that's perhaps some of the highest praise. You know, it's like, where are we going? There's a lot of activities in the world and a lot of unrest surrounding us right now. I just want to acknowledge that, acknowledge it in our sitting, in our listening to Shleigh, in our chanting of the Heart Sutra, and to be in support of those who are in need of support, in support of us coming together and helping to put an end to suffering, which one form of could be described as separation. And I see that in the work that Shleigh is doing as well. We just finished in our book club, which is on Tuesday nights, we just finished the book Instructions to the Cook by Bernie Glassman, Tensagen Roshi, one of Maizumi Roshi's, or his first successor. And Instructions to the Cook was about the formation of a new Zen center in New York City, about what right livelihood that they would pursue to support the center and themselves and their health and well-being. And really a wonderful take on Dogen's 12th century Instructions to the Cook, which were literally instructions to the Tenzo on how to cook for everyone in the monastery. But of course, as all things in Zen, that's a larger metaphor for how to cook your life, how to be in your life. So we just finished that book, which is centered around cooking and Tenzo and nurturing. And so I think you can see the link to Shleigh there too. And I'm not going to steal her thunder by creating too many connections. One last thing I want to say, in this pursuit of right livelihood, there's a koan in the Blue Cliff record called Rengaho's Staff. And I'll just paraphrase it. Rengaho was a hermit and had a small following near his hermitage. And one day he asked to his followers, why didn't the old ancestors remain here after they reached it? Now by here, he means in this state of once people attained enlightenment, why didn't they just stop? After reaching enlightenment, why not just stop? The audience was silenced, and so he answered himself. It has no power for the way to serve people. In other words, just say, no, this is cool, I got it. Yeah. You know, I mean, like, what is the use in this? Another translation of that line is, what will you do with it? And I'm going to stop there. There's a second half to the koan that answers this, but I'm going to let Shleigh answer this for us. You know, you've reached this spot. What will you do with it? So, Shleigh, where are you? I'm going to find you on screen. I'm going to pin Shleigh's video, and you are sideways. So if you could rotate your phone. And I'm unmuting you as well.
There you go.
Okay, I think you're, okay.
I'm having a little problem. Hold on one second.
No, you're not. It's just that I'm unmuting you and you're unmuting you at the same time. Shleigh?
Hang on one second. I'm trying to get my speaker on.
It's on.
Okay. I just can't hear myself is what it is.
Oh, you can't hear yourself. Okay.
Okay. So I'll get started. It's not, I mean, I can hear like you talking. It's a problem. Okay. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Dan. You can hear me okay? Okay. So Pasini Kitchen has been in the making for a long time, and that's what I'm talking about, Pasini Kitchen, this new direction of livelihood for me and other things. So Pasini Kitchen has been in the making for a very long time. I have always had a great love and respect for incredible ingredients and ingredients that are natural and vivid in taste and color, and I love to prepare food with them. I love to cook and I love to eat, and anybody who knows me knows that my cooking is always an expression of love for them. And I never meant to have this passion for food and cooking become a livelihood. That was never my intention. I never wanted to have a job in cooking, so I never have. In recent years, the importance of doing something important for the world has become more of a focus, and there's been this shift in my perspective of how I want to spend my time with my work, because I spend so much of my awake time working. I volunteered for some really amazing organizations over the years, and worked with some people I admire a lot in what they're doing, and their mission became my mission also, but volunteering just wasn't quite enough any longer. I wanted to make it a bigger part of my life. So for the past 20 years, most of you probably don't know, I'm a textile designer, and that has been my livelihood for the past 22 years. And I've always felt really blessed with this livelihood because it's something I really love. I love designing textiles. I love the projects that I work on, the people that I work with. So it's been a very good career for me so far. I love what I do, but the value of it in the world seems to have less importance in my eyes. So I started to contemplate a shift in my work to something else. What am I going to do? What am I good at? How can it help other people? How can it help the environment? These were all the kind of questions that started going through my mind. So over the past handful of years, I've created this diet for myself, this diet that helps me function optimally at my very best. It makes me feel very clear and present and vibrant, and this diet is very sustainable. My ingredients are whole foods that are fresh and organic and colorful. They've never been processed, and just very healthful ingredients. That's what I use in my cooking. Earlier this year, I started to cook for a friend, and in the course of 3 months, she lost 15 pounds, and she was so amazed at how she was feeling as a result of just having changed her diet. She couldn't get over it. She was just amazed. And recently I went to visit her just for a social call, and she'd just been back from the grocery store, And she was unpacking all these groceries that were the same groceries that I would use when I would cook for her. So this like really made my heart sing, because it showed me that it wasn't just that she had eaten the ingredients and it made her feel good, but she was now changing her own behavior as a result of it. So that like really made me feel good. Around this time, the pandemic started. I guess this was like late February, in March, probably. I think it was March. And a few of my friends had heard the story and asked me to start cooking for them, because for a variety of reasons. One worked from home just all the time. She didn't have time to cook for herself. Another person just doesn't cook, period. So instead of going, she wasn't able to go to restaurants any longer. She didn't want to have strangers delivering her food. So she asked if I would cook for her. Another friend works outside of her home, and she couldn't fathom the idea of having to stand in long lines and then come home and cook for herself. At the end of the day, a long day, an exhausting day. So she asked me to start cooking for her as well. So at this time, Club started. And we began, as Shira was explaining earlier, with our first book called Instructions to the Chef. And the writer describes, as he had said earlier, describes what the recipe for the supreme meal is. And he's speaking about how to live life fully. And most importantly, he also says that we already have everything that we need, which is really remarkable. So my heart started to really pound fast at the idea of this, because he was speaking my language both figuratively and literally. He was talking about the ingredients of what you need to do this. So he describes a 5-course meal, or the different 5 courses of a meal, or the aspects of our life. He talks about spirituality, study and learning, livelihood, and social action or change, and the relationships we have with our community. Glassman goes on to tell these great stories of how he built this incredible monastery in this incredible center in New York. And around these 5 courses, including some wonderful Zen teachings and stories. So I am developing my recipe for livelihood at this time, which is one of the chapters that he talks about. This recipe must have spiritual dimension, include studying and learning, and social action. I keep having experiences that are mirroring some of his teachings. So it begins to be like a format for what I'm doing in some ways. It's very useful for me at this time, which is so interesting. So I began to list out what my criteria and what my ingredients were for this new recipe of a livelihood. The first ingredient are literally the ingredients. So my ingredients, of the main requirement is that they're fresh and organic and colorful. That's the first criteria for my ingredient criteria. That they would be locally sourced, with farmers that I would get to know, and I would learn from them about how things are grown. I would learn about maybe new ways of using these ingredients. But above all, I'd be developing a relationship with these people who would be growing the ingredients that I would then cook with. My products would be gentle on the environment, meaning that I wouldn't have things that would add to our landfill. This would be, instead of bags and napkins, it would be fabric linens and fabric bags and glass containers instead of disposable plastic or paper, for that matter. And of course, the idea I had was that I would design these textiles with my textile company and produce them. I would start something new with them. And actually, that is really ironic, because at that point, I was talking with a friend on the phone who was asking me what I was up to these days. I hadn't talked to him in a few months. And I was describing this new plan I had for my livelihood. And he happens to be a linen company. He has a very strong linen company. And he said, "Oh, it sounds like we could work together on this." And I said, oh, that's something to think about. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, of course I'm going to do this myself. And it was so funny because after our conversation, I thought about it, and we had just read this. I have to share this with you because it's so ironic. There's a chapter in this book, Instructions to the Chef, where he says, don't worry about competition. All too often, we view other people in our fields, whether it's business, social action, or even spirituality, as rivals. We seem to feel that there are only so many resources to go around, and that if someone else is doing well, there will be less for us. Actually, the very opposite is often the case. Rivals are often allies in disguise. When we give up our own agendas, fears, and identity of ourselves with opponents, we find that we have much to give each other, because we can easily supply an ingredient or point of view that one another were missing. So I thought that was really interesting, because why wouldn't I want him to take on this portion of that? I would help my son, it would take away from the time I would spend with other things. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting that that was also a poignant point that Bernie's making in his book. Pasini Kitchen will be helping customers to feel their best, and maybe even closer, they would develop closer relationships to their food. Maybe someone would value knowing where their food came from, or learn something about the ingredients or what their benefits were. So with that, I plan to also educate them through maybe a blog or postings on Instagram, talking about some of these points. The future growth of the business is more related to maybe community cooking classes with people in my own community, but also in some of the food deserts that we have, and come up with new ideas of bringing more produce to these areas and working with them in these community cooking classes. But right now, the main focus is what I'm doing right now with the meals. And once that comes to a stronger point, then I would have something to maybe support these other ideas in the future. But I think the overall bigger point of all of this is that I don't think that I could have arrived to my ideas without the feeling of compassion or connecting to others. I think that actually came from my practice, from sitting, because this all really came about within the past year for me. I think it is true that the connection that we have, it is true. The connection we have with others is most important. And I think that it brings clarity to the reasons and obstacles become opportunities in new ways, in interesting ways. And that's what I have to share with you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shleigh. And I'm going to unpin Shleigh, if I can do that, and open it up for questions, observations, anything that any of you have. So if you could stay muted if you're not speaking, but unmute, just go from there.
Well, I just want to say that was a beautiful Dharma talk, Shleigh. I really, really appreciated it. I, for one, have taken advantage of Pasini Kitchens, and it's everything that you speak of, you bring. I've had some amazing meals, and truth is, when I eat it, I mean, I know this sounds kind of corny, but I think of you and I think of what you put through it. And it does, it's made me reevaluate my eating habits, my nutrition, what I'm bringing, how it's helping me sustain me. I just want to say how proud I am of you for doing this. And that was such a beautiful presentation. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so grateful that you're with us in this group and you bring so much. So I just, I loved how you tied in the book so beautifully, and how we went for a walk the other day and you're telling me about the linen thing and how you tied that with that reading. It was so meaningful to me because I need to remember that in my own workplace and where I go and out into the world. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Shleigh, I would love to add that, well, everything that Andrea said, 100%. I love hearing about what you're up to, and I love how much it's parallel to like book club and also Zen practice. I haven't been joining book club yet, but I'm going to. But I haven't read that book about tenzoing. But back at the old Zen Center, I did tenzo for many, many sessions. So that meant I was the head cook. And the way that it becomes so much more than just like feeding everyone in the room, you know, like it really is like an expression of care, of love, of being the foundation in someone's practice. And so the way that you are talking about what you're up to is just exactly like that. Like, it's like you're thinking of it on such a larger scale than just having people be physically fed. It's about like overall nourishment. So that really resonated with me. It's really beautiful. And I'm excited for when we can all do a session and we can all tenzo and rotate and like do that together. So anyway, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, Shleigh.
Yeah, I just wanted to
can I hereby formally
Ken, your audio.
give you my application to work in the Pasini Kitchen.
Ken, your audio is very funky. I just turned off your
Is it
video.
okay now?
Yes.
Where am I?
Yeah, that's better.
No, audio's off.
Go ahead. I turned off your video. Go ahead.
How about now? Is the audio good now?
Better.
better.
Yeah, I did too. So is the audio good now?
No, Ken, it's really,
Okay.
it's really bad.
Shleigh, I hereby send in my application to be the first on the crew in the Pasini Kitchen.
Bravo. First on the crew.
First on the crew is what I heard. So
I have something I'd like to say. We were present when Shleigh.
Okay, no problems.
Okay. I just wanted to say we were present when Shleigh visited a couple of farmers yesterday. Right, Shleigh? Shleigh came to our garden out in Compton, California, where we have a huge garden made in a former horse property behind a residential home. And our clients include the chefs, the people that cook for the residential home. And we're hoping that Shleigh can come sometime during the week and meet with at least one of the cooks and create a relationship between her and see where it will go. And
It's so
go ahead.
It's so funny, Lori, because I was, of course, looking over my notes last night, and I thought, this is so funny because I'm talking about this being like future tense because of COVID. I haven't really been able to like go to these farmers markets and spend time. And I thought, I'm doing it. I just did it for the first time today. It was so funny. that was a great experience too. Thank you for that. And I look forward to doing it frequently. Thank you.
Collecting some good spicy arugula and some other beautiful things that are currently ready to be eaten.
And by the way, in the spirit of Ken volunteering for Shleigh's crew, Shleigh helped me do some of the early heavy double digging of the beds and clearing of that land back in February. So he actually put heart and sweat and blood into the soil that is now this mini farm in Compton. So just as
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
It's so big. It's just crazy how big it got so quickly.
It was such an opportunity to know it from just dirt.
Right.
And then to visit yesterday for the very first time, and these sunflowers are, I don't know what, 12 feet in the air. I mean, it was a tower. I couldn't believe how quickly, in just a handful of months, this has become a very healthy and bountiful garden.
Thank you.
Thank you again for that.
Thanks for coming.
I'll go. Shleigh, I just want to thank you. Hello. I just want to thank you for your care and just and just the willingness to move with such intention towards right action and right livelihood, and like that's the real practice, is bringing it into your life. And it's very beautiful Dharma talk and wonderful inspiration and work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say it was really inspiring. And like when I read a book, I just take notes, and to hear like it totally inspire like this real action is just really also inspiring. It's just incredible, because here I am, oh, that's a really good point, and here you are like, wow, it's just amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you.
Hey, Shleigh, I can't resist. I live in West Hollywood, so now I want to take a walk with you. Like, I need to be in your
come over
inspiration. Yeah, right. We're like neighbors now that you're in this neighborhood. So we'll sort that out offline. I guess I want to just say a couple things. One is the one word that comes up for me when I think about you and your just who you are is like integrity. I will never forget cleaning the bathrooms with you at Zen Mountain Center, and like the integrity with which you clean those bathrooms. I'm like, I think symbolic of like everything that you do, it seems, in your life is like, to Shiro's point, all in. And so I am sort of not surprised that you have like taken on that same sort of integrity and like just commitment, and just you have such pure clarity and purity to you. So I want to be I want to like be part of that inspiration. I am for someone like me who can't boil an egg and has never been inspired by cooking, this is like super inspiring. And this transformation that Shiro talked about, I think is like so powerful for you to take these teachings and transform. So thank you for sharing this. I'm very inspired.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Seve, you're still muted. Let me see if I can help. There you go.
Okay, so cooking I say was beautiful what you share, and very inspiring to me, because cooking is my thing as well. It's how I show people that I care, and I know how to cook healthy, but I don't always do it. And listening to you talk this morning is just getting me present to
Thank you.
Cooking healthier for myself and also for my friends and family whenever I offer them a meal. And at the same time, I'm out of work right now because what I do for a living is that I take groups of people that come mostly from Spain to see this beautiful country of ours. But I don't know when I'm gonna go back to doing that because of the pandemic. So listening to what you share, it gave me an idea, like I could probably cook for some of my friends and make some money doing that. At the same time, contributing to them eating healthier or healthy.
They would probably love it.
Yes, most of my friends love my cooking. And I'm sure that if I introduce a healthy diet, which I know how to cook because I go every year to a National Health Institute in Puerto Rico. It's called Whitmore. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. There is one in San Diego called Optimum Health Institute. Have you guys heard about that one? So
No, but I'll look it up. It sounds interesting.
So I've been to that one as well, and that's what they teach people to been going for the past 7 years or so. Spend sometimes 2 weeks, a week, 10 days, whatever time I have, and it's transformational. And I come home practicing what I teach for a little while, but then I go back to cheating. So this is a good reminder. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing what you're doing.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. First of all, I think it's awesome what you're doing. It's really great. And maybe this is in the newsletter and I just missed it, but you know, where do I sign up to try your meals and stuff? Sounds delicious.
Well, thank you so much. I did just start an Instagram page. It's like really base and really simple right now, but it's pasini.kitchen. And you can always give me a ring too.
Pasini?
Yes, it's
okay.
PASINI.kitchen.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's a few photos there, and you can contact me through that, or I can give you my contact information, or Shiro can give it to you. Definitely. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, honestly, I've never had a bad meal. I mean, I'm not just saying that, but no, it's good stuff. Very good stuff.
You're awesome, Andrea. Thank you so much. I have to say, I feel so really blessed. I feel so lucky to be surrounded by such incredible people. All of you are just so great. It's such a great community that we have here. Thank you so much.
Shleigh, I want to thank you so much for just revealing your true self, you know, the kind of inner person that you are, and just reminding me of how in this time of COVID, you know, there is a way to share, and there is a way to, for all of us to help each other. I know my neighbors brought us some bean and mushroom soup last night, and I had given them some pumpkin muffins. And so, you know, food is really such a fundamental thing. And the sharing of food is such a fundamental thing. And you just shine. You just shine. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marge. Thank you so much. Thanks.
So Mark and Galen, occasionally in the course of Prajna Heart Zen Center, we take one of these talks and turn them over to a member of the Sangha. We call it Meet the Sangha. And this is a good example of that. Way, thank you so much. There is, and Mark, I hope the time was well spent. I don't know, you know, what you may have expected or not expected, or what your experience with all of this is. But again, we're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Shiro, for suggesting it. Thank you.
One of the things that you may not all know about Shleigh is that she describes herself as terrified of public speaking.
Yeah, that's very true.
So there are a number of things going on here, and they are integral to the practice of Zen and living a fully expressed life. Tenshin Roshi gave a talk just recently about, and I've mentioned it as well, how do you step forward from the top of a 100-foot pole? Andrea and I have discussed this as well. You know, Shleigh is also a great example of that this morning. You know, how do you step forward from the top of a 100-foot pole? How do you work with the fear of speaking in front of a crowd, right? You do what Shleigh did today. You open your mouth, you tell a story, you connect. We talk about the three treasures, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
Mm-hmm.
What a Sangha? You know, I mean, in large part, my job is just to set up the Zoom channel, open the door, you know, get Lori to play a few instruments and let it all go. And there's a reason I mentioned Ringaho's staff this morning, that koan, you know, in olden times, once the masters achieved enlightenment, you know, why didn't they stop? You know, what will you do with it? You know, this is what Shleigh's doing with it. And in saying that, I'm declaring her and all of us enlightened. You know, you're already Buddha, you're already enlightened. Now we have to, all of us, I have to do it all the time, you know, scrub away the filth and grime and delusion and beliefs about myself so that that enlightened self can shine through, as it just did with Shleigh, right? So, as I said, there's a number of things going on in this talk. You have somebody that's never given a Dharma talk, afraid of public speaking, boom. Probably a better job than I could have done. And then we've got all of you going boom, 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 boom. You know, Buddha's every one of you, affirming the teachings and affirming the practice and affirming your shining light and love for one another in your comments to Shleigh. I just wanted to underscore a few of those things, and I will be quiet now. If that sparks any other thoughts from anybody, the channel is still open. We still have a little bit of time.
I have a thought. I just think, you know, this week has been, well, here in Long Beach, I'm in downtown Long Beach, so I have been in the thick of it. And it's been so many emotions. But anyway, the talk about right action and really like putting your money where your mouth is just so inspiring to me in a Zen group, because I've been in a few, or I've been with some people that it's very pie in the sky, and that didn't quite ring true. And this really does ring true. Like, it really is putting your money where your mouth is, like Bernie Glassman did.
Anybody else? We're all good. Galen, got any words of wisdom for Shleigh?
I would say
If I had any criticism of this, I would like you, Shleigh, to talk at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because listening to you all talk about food and pumpkin muffins and I'm just starving. It reminds me of sitting at the Zen Center and having the tins start frying up onions, and every time it happens, I just want to get up and go eat. But anyway, it's an admirable thing that you're doing, and once again, I'm happy to be allowed to be here and sit with you all. Thanks.
Happy to have you.